In Paris, they say true luxury cannot be rushed, and for 6 generations, one family has guarded this truth. Each stitch and each fold is passed down through time in the house of Hermès, where a single bag takes 40 hours to craft, and where there could be a single moment to lose it all. You see, in 2010, a whisper echoed through the halls of haute couture, and Bernard Arnault, the wolf in cashmere, had been circling. The man who devoured Dior, who conquered Louis Vuitton, had set his sights on the last great independent fashion house in France. But he was about to learn. The family that builds together, fights together. In today's episode, we share the story of old money versus new, of tradition versus takeover, of a family that refused to sell their soul, even when it was worth $200 billion as we describe. The old money luxury war for fashion. Hermès versus Louis Vuitton. The city is Paris, France, and the year is 1837, and the age of empires was ending, but a new one was just beginning. In a modest workshop on Rue Basse du Rempart, Thierry Hermès placed his tools on a wooden bench for the first time. He had one client in mind, the horse. But not just any horse, the prestigious steeds of European nobility, whose harnesses and bridles were as much a statement of power as the crowns their masters wore. In an era when carriages were the equivalent of private jets, Hermès would revolutionize how nobility traveled, one stitch at a time. His breakthrough came from understanding a simple truth: a horse's comfort translated directly to its rider's status. While other craftsmen focused on ornate decoration, Hermès obsessed over the precise tension of each strap, the exact flexibility of each joint. His innovations in weight distribution and leather manipulation created harnesses that made horses move more elegantly, turn more gracefully, and appear more noble than their peers. Within a decade, his creations became the obsession of Europe's royal stables. The Russian Tsar, notorious for his exacting standards, commissioned entire collections for his imperial horses. Napoleon III, after witnessing his horses' transformed gait, granted Hermès exclusive contracts and the title of Emperor's Harness Maker. But what truly set Hermès apart wasn't just his skill, it was his radical philosophy. Perfection could not be delegated. While the Industrial Revolution roared through Europe, with its promises of faster production and cheaper goods, Hermès moved deliberately at the speed of handcraft. Each piece passed through a single pair of hands from start to finish. Each stitch was counted and recounted, each leather selected personally after months of aging, each creation signed by its maker like a work of art. It was manufacturing heresy in an age of machines, and it worked. Soon, the waiting lists for his pieces grew longer than the guest lists at royal courts. But Thierry's greatest innovation wasn't in leather, it was in legacy. He created what would become the world's first luxury apprenticeship system, a method so rigorous it would later inspire modern luxury houses. Every heir to the Hermès name would spend a minimum of 10 years mastering each step of production before being allowed to touch the business ledgers. Power wasn't inherited, it was earned through calloused hands and countless hours of failed attempts. His sons learned to select leather by touch in darkness, to count stitches by feel, to hear the quality of a hide in the sound it made when stretched. As Europe's old order crumbled around them, this system allowed Hermès to evolve while others fell. When automobiles began replacing carriages, they seamlessly transferred their expertise to craft the world's first luxury car interiors, their understanding of horse comfort translating perfectly to human luxury. When aviation boomed, they designed the first soft leather travel bags, understanding how leather needed to move at high altitudes. Each crisis that destroyed other luxury houses only made Hermès more essential, their dedication to craft becoming more valuable as true handwork became increasingly rare. The turning point came in 1956. Grace Kelly, hounded by paparazzi, used her oversized Hermès bag to shield her first pregnancy from photographers. The moment went viral, 1950s style. Overnight, the Kelly bag became the most coveted accessory in the world. 25 years later, when Jane Birkin spilled her papers next to CEO Jean-Louis Dumas on a flight, complaining about finding a perfect weekend bag, the Birkin was born, now commanding six-figure prices and years-long waiting lists. But the true secret of Hermès wasn't in what they created, it was in what they destroyed. Millions of dollars in imperfect bags, burned. Entire collections of crocodile accessories, incinerated because the scales didn't catch light correctly. Even during the depths of the Great Depression, they refused to lower their standards to increase production. This devotion to perfection transformed their iconic orange boxes, originally adopted during World War II when their cream-colored boxes became unavailable, into symbols of unattainable excellence. Their silk scarves, requiring months to print in up to 46 colors, became more coveted than jewelry. Their workshops in Pantin became a fortress of craft, where every artisan still signs their work, where every hide is still inspected by hand, where time stands still in the pursuit of perfection. But by 2010, this dedication to tradition had caught the attention of a new kind of predator. One who saw Hermès's refusal to modernize not as principle, but as weakness. In the boardrooms of LVMH, Bernard Arnault was about to teach the family that in modern luxury, tradition was a vulnerability to be exploited. For the first time in 6 generations, the house that leather built was about to face a threat that no amount of perfect stitching could repair. Bernard Arnault learned the art of destruction from his father's construction business. In the industrial north of France, where factory chimneys replaced church spires, he watched how ancient buildings were demolished to make way for modern structures. It taught him a crucial lesson. Sometimes you have to break things apart to rebuild them stronger. He didn't inherit an empire. He engineered one with the cold precision of a financial assassin. In 1984, when he acquired the bankrupt textile company, Boussac, he didn't see the failing factories. He saw its crown jewel, Christian Dior. Within months, he had stripped away everything but the perfume division and the legendary fashion house. It was his first taste of luxury, and like all predators, he developed an appetite. By 2010, Arnault had earned his nickname, the Wolf in Cashmere. His methodology was surgical: identify family-owned luxury brands, exploit their internal divisions, and strike when they were most vulnerable. He understood that old money's greatest weakness was its adherence to tradition, its naive belief that gentlemen's agreements still meant something in the age of corporate raiders. And Christian Dior was just the beginning. Louis Vuitton, Dom Perignon, Moet and Chandon, one by one, the crown jewels of European luxury fell into his grasp. Each acquisition followed the same pattern: find the family's weakness, exploit internal rivalries, offer patriarchs prices that made loyalty waver. LVMH became his weapon, a corporate battering ram that transformed centuries of tradition into quarterly profits. What took generations to build, he could acquire in months. But Hermès was different. The family's unity had frustrated his advances for decades. Their shares, locked tight in a complex web of family trusts, seemed impenetrable. So Arnault did what wolves do best. He changed his approach. Through a labyrinth of equity swaps, cash-settled derivatives and offshore holding companies, LVMH quietly accumulated Hermès shares without triggering disclosure requirements. It was financial engineering at its most elegant and most ruthless. The date is the 23rd of October 2010, a Saturday morning like any other at the Hermès flagship store on Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré. Pierre-Alexis Dumas, the artistic director and 6th-generation family member, was reviewing quarterly reports when a number caught his eye. A routine stock analysis showed an anomaly. A significant portion of shares had changed hands without the family's knowledge. Within hours, the historic back room of the flagship store, where kings and emperors once ordered their saddles, became a war room. Family members rushed in from across Paris, their phones buzzing with increasingly alarming messages. The truth emerged like a slow-motion explosion. LVMH had secretly amassed a 17.1% stake in their company, over 1.4 billion euros worth of shares. The moment they realized what had happened, recalls financial analyst Marie-Claude Bertrand, it was like discovering a burglar had not only broken into your grandmother's house, but had been living in the attic for months, trying on her jewelry every night. The betrayal cut deeper than mere finances. For the Hermès clan, this wasn't just about money, it was about survival. Their great-great-grandfather had weathered wars, occupation, and revolution without surrendering control. Now, in the age of corporate raiders and hostile takeovers, they faced a predator more sophisticated than any that had come before. As night fell over Paris, The family emerged from their emergency meeting with a decision that would shape the future of luxury itself. The wolf in Kashmir was about to learn that some prey bite back, and that old money, when cornered, fights with the accumulated wisdom of centuries. In the leather workshops of Hermès, there is an old saying, "The strongest stitch is the one you do not see." As Bernard Arnault celebrated his apparent victory, the Hermès family was about to prove that 6 generations of secrets are not found in annual reports. Their counterattack began with a whisper. In the rarefied air of Paris's 8th arrondissement, family members slipped into law offices through back entrances. Private bankers were summoned to midnight meetings. A plan emerged that would become legendary in French corporate history, Operation H51. The concept was audacious in its simplicity. Create a holding company that would lock up the family's dispersed shares into an impenetrable fortress. But with over 250 family members spread across dozens of branches, each with their own interests and inheritances, unity seemed impossible. This was the moment Arnault had been waiting for, the moment when family ties would surely fray under pressure. Instead, something remarkable happened. Bertrand Puech, the family patriarch, began making calls. In the wood-paneled study of his right bank apartment, he reminded each family member of the oath their ancestors had taken. One cannot divide what patience has united. One by one, the branches of the family tree bent toward a common purpose. What Arnault did not understand, explains financial strategist Jean-Marc Leblanc, was that attacking Hermès was not like attacking other family companies. Every heir had grown up watching their parents stitch leather. Every child had learned that perfection requires sacrifice. They were not shareholders. They were guardians. H51 took shape with Swiss precision. The holding company would control 51% of Hermès shares, requiring a unanimous vote from family members to sell any stake. Each branch surrendered significant individual control for collective security. As one anonymous family member later revealed, "We chose to become prisoners of our own creation, because the alternative was becoming prisoners of LVMH." The legal battles that followed were fought in courtrooms but won in archives. Family lawyers unearthed documents showing how LVMH had used complex financial instruments to sidestep disclosure requirements. The French Financial Markets Authority, AMF, launched an investigation. The family's case was built not just on legal arguments, but on a fundamental question. Could France's heritage be carved up like a corporate asset? In the gilded halls of the Paris Court of Appeal, Axel Dumas, then newly appointed CEO, stood before the judges and spoke not of profits, but of legacy. "We are not just defending a company," he declared. "We are defending a way of life." The courts agreed. LVMH was ordered to divest most of its Hermès shares, distributing them to its own shareholders. The wolf in Kashmir had finally met his match, not in financial firepower, but in something far more formidable: family solidarity. But the true victory was not in the courtroom. It was in the quiet aftermath, when the family gathered in their original workshop on Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré. There, surrounded by the tools and traditions of their trade, they realized they had done more than protect their company. They had proven that in an age of corporate raiders and hostile takeovers, the strongest defense is not money, it is memory. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. For Hermès, it was served in orange boxes. By 2014, when LVMH was forced to distribute its Hermès shares, the stock price had tripled, turning Arnault's defeat into a €1 billion lesson in family resilience. But the true aftermath of the luxury war was not measured in euros. In the workshops of Pantin, where artisans still hand-stitch bags exactly as they did in 1837, something fundamental had shifted. The family had not just survived, they had evolved. Under Axel Dumas' leadership, Hermès embarked on a quiet revolution. Their fortress of tradition became a laboratory of controlled innovation. New workshops opened, but with a twist. Each one built around a single master artisan, each maintaining the one craftsman, one piece philosophy. The waiting lists for Birkin bags grew longer, the prices climbed higher, and the family's grip on control grew stronger. The numbers tell their own story. From 2014 to 2024, Hermès' value soared past $200 billion, making it worth more than many of the brands LVMH had acquired combined. But in the family's private chambers, a different metric mattered: 0. The number of family members who had sold their shares since the attack. Today, the 6th generation of Hermès craftsmen learn their trade under portraits of their ancestors. Each morning, before the first stitch is sewn, before the first piece of leather is cut, the artisans gather to inspect their tools, a ritual unchanged since Thierry Hermès first opened his doors. But now, they work with a new understanding, that their craftsmanship is not just about creating luxury goods, but about preserving something far more rare: independence. In the end, Bernard Arnault's greatest gift to Hermès was not his unwanted attention, but the unity it forced upon a family that already thought it was united. The modern Hermès empire stands not as a target, but as a testament, proof that in the brutal world of luxury consolidation, tradition is not a weakness to be exploited, but a fortress to be maintained. Today, Hermès International trades at €2,135 per share, with a market capitalization exceeding €220 billion, making it worth more than Chanel and Cartier combined. The family still controls 66.6% of shares through their H51 holding company. In the decade since the LVMH battle, Hermès has proven that tradition can be profitable. Their revenue has tripled to €11.6 billion annually, with operating margins above 40%, the highest in the luxury industry. Their waiting lists for Birkin and Kelly bags now stretch to 3 years. At their workshops in Pantin, the 7th generation has begun their apprenticeships. Among them is Marie-Agnès Dumas, 22 years of age, and the 4 times great-granddaughter of Thierry Hermès. Like all family members, she started in the leather workshop, learning the same stitching techniques that built their empire. LVMH's Bernard Arnault, now 75, has turned his attention elsewhere. His company recently acquired Tiffany & Co. for $15.8 billion, and his son Antoine has taken an increasingly visible role in operations. When asked about Hermès at a recent shareholders' meeting, he smiled and changed the subject. The luxury industry continues to consolidate. Kering, Richemont, and LVMH now control most major brands. But Hermès remains defiantly independent. Their workshops still produce only 6,000 to 7,000 Birkin bags annually, despite demand for 10 times that number. Axel, CEO and 6th-generation family member, still begins each board meeting with his grandfather's words. Quality is not an act, it is a habit. The company has no debt, €9.7 billion in cash reserves, and a commitment to maintain their independence for at least another generation. In an industry increasingly driven by algorithms and instant gratification, Hermès's dedication to craft seems almost radical. Yet their stock has outperformed every luxury competitor over the past decade. As one analyst noted, they are not selling bags, they are selling time. Our story begins in Rome. The year is 1925, and beneath the crumbling grandeur of ancient ruins, a tiny shop clings to life on a quiet corner. Inside, a young Edoardo Fendi works feverishly at his sewing machine, his hands steady as his brow is furrowed in concentration. Across the room, his wife Adele Fendi, a fierce woman with eyes that speak of dreams far larger than their modest surroundings, stitches the last piece of fur to a coat destined for no one yet. Alongside these future fashion icons, 5 daughters are growing under their roof. Indeed, the 5 Fendi sisters, Silvia, Paola, Anna, Franca and Carla, are each destined for something more than mere artisanship. And while the world outside knows nothing of them yet, a quiet storm was brewing. The sisters' names will one day be synonymous with luxury, their creations coveted by queens, celebrities, and the world's elite. But this rise to power will come at a cost. Behind the glimmer of success, rivalries will surface, alliances will fracture, and loyalties will be tested. In today's episode, you'll witness how sisterhood fueled the rise of Fendi and how ambition threatened to tear them apart. From whispered boardroom betrayals to iconic runway triumphs, this is the story of the Fendi Sisters, when old money fashion turns into Shakespearean drama. In order to best understand how 5 unassuming sisters from Roma could take over the fashion world, we must first describe how their mother, Adele Casagrande, opened a modest leather and fur shop in Rome in 1918 in a venture that would lay the cornerstone for the iconic Fendi fashion house. Located on Via del Plebiscito, her shop quickly gained a reputation for exceptional craftsmanship. And in 1925, after marrying Edoardo Fendi, the couple rebranded the store as Fendi and expanded their offerings to include fur, leather goods, and even umbrellas. And Adele's deep appreciation for Roman artisanal traditions was evident in their products, reflecting the high standards of Italian craftsmanship. Thus, their commitment to innovation attracted an elite clientele, setting the stage for Fendi's future success. Now, the aforementioned Fendi sisters, Paola, Anna, Franca, Carla, and Alda, grew up in post-war Rome, a city rebuilding itself from the ruins of World War II while experiencing a cultural and fashion renaissance. And by the late 1940s and 1950s, Italy, especially Rome, had become synonymous with a new kind of glamour. You see, this was partly due to the city's vibrant film industry and its association with the La Dolce Vita lifestyle. Stars like Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor were frequently seen in Valentino gowns or adorned with Bulgari jewelry while filming in Rome. Consequently, the streets buzzed with high-end boutiques, intertwining the allure of Italian fashion with the glamour of cinema. And the Italian fashion industry was thriving, propelled by exceptional craftsmanship and innovative designs. For instance, Florence emerged as a significant fashion hub with the famed Sala Bianca catwalk shows, where designers like Emilio Pucci and Simonetta showcased their collections. And in Rome, alongside Fendi, other notable names were making their mark. Gucci, who had already established his leather goods business in Florence, saw his brand flourish during this period. Salvatore Ferragamo returned to Italy and focused on blending comfort with style in his shoe designs, pioneering innovations such as the wedge heel. Therefore, these designers, along with emerging talents like Valentino Garavani, helped establish Italy as a fashion powerhouse. Thus, as the Fendi sisters matured, they immersed themselves in this creative explosion. The city's rich artisanal traditions and the resurgence of Italian craftsmanship provided the backdrop for their formative years, and their involvement in leatherwork and fur at the family atelier aligned perfectly with Italy's reputation for refined craftsmanship, making them integral to the broader wave of Italian fashion captivating the world. As they grew, each sister found her niche within the family business. Paola, the eldest, developed a passion for fur, mastering intricate dyeing and tanning techniques. Anna, with her sharp business acumen, gravitated toward design and licensing. And Franca, known for her interpersonal skills, took charge of purchasing and customer relations. Then there's Carla, the organized one, who managed the commercial and press offices. Lastly, Alda, the youngest, oversaw the atelier and fur workshop, nurturing the creative heart of Fendi. However, in 1954, Edoardo Fendi's sudden death dealt a significant blow to the family, leaving Adele and her daughters to navigate the uncertain future of their thriving business. The brand had already established a strong reputation in Rome for high-quality fur and leather goods, but Edoardo's passing forced Adele to take full control during a critical period of growth. His death marked the end of an era for the family and the company, coming at a moment when the business was poised to expand beyond local success. In the immediate aftermath, Mother Adele focused on keeping the company stable while mentoring her daughters, who were already becoming involved in various aspects of the business. As the family settled into their new roles and responsibilities, a larger question loomed. Could they successfully transition from a beloved Roman boutique into a global luxury empire without Edoardo at the helm? Following Edoardo Fendi's death in 1954, the future of the Fendi family business fell to his widow Adele and their 5 daughters, Paola, Anna, Franca, Carla, and Alda. But the going wouldn't be easy, due to the societal norms of the era. The mid-20th century was a period of rapid evolution in fashion, driven largely by post-war optimism, and the aftermath of World War II allowed fashion houses to reclaim their former status, with many new players emerging. Yet, it was primarily led by men who took creative control. Christian Dior's 1947 new look had redefined women's fashion, favoring ultra-feminine silhouettes with cinched waists and voluminous skirts. Dior's creations were all about extravagance, a contrast to the utilitarian styles of wartime, and his designs quickly set the tone for the 1950s, positioning Dior as a defining figure in haute couture. Meanwhile, Cristobal Balenciaga, known for his architectural precision in design, pushed boundaries with his bold, innovative shapes, challenging the rigid forms that had previously dominated fashion. However, it wasn't just Dior and Balenciaga who were making waves. Pierre Balmain, with his house established in 1945, earned a reputation for intricate, elegant designs. And Givenchy, who rose to international prominence, became synonymous with timeless chic, particularly after dressing Audrey Hepburn and solidifying the little black dress as an enduring fashion staple. Consequently, the male dominance in the industry made it increasingly difficult for female designers to rise. And even the iconic Coco Chanel faced challenges after reopening her fashion house in 1954, struggling to regain her pre-war stature. Thus, at a time when the European fashion scene was run by male designers and entrepreneurs, the Fendi women would have to forge a different path, not simply preserving their father's legacy, but completely reinventing it. But behind the scenes, the pressure was immense. Imagine the daily grind. 5 strong-willed sisters, each determined to make their mark, coming home after long days spent in the studio, only to have their disagreements over design follow them to the dinner table. Adele, already burdened with the loss of her husband, found herself in the unenviable position of keeping the business afloat while maintaining family harmony, though each daughter wanted to shape Fendi in her own way. Paola, the eldest, favored maintaining the traditional aspects of Fendi, while Anna, the more creatively adventurous sibling, leaned toward innovation and risk-taking. And yet, despite the inevitable family friction, the sisters understood the need for the brand to modernize. Fendi at that time was primarily known for its luxurious furs, a symbol of wealth and status. But the sisters, with their fingers on the pulse of fashion trends, saw an opportunity to reinvent the very concept of fur. Thus, with almost divine timing, they would meet one Karl Lagerfeld, the wild card who would change everything. Young, brash, and brimming with avant-garde ideas, Lagerfeld seemed an unlikely fit for the traditional luxury of Fendi. But that's precisely what the sisters saw in him: potential. Particularly Anna, who recognized in Lagerfeld a chance to break away from fur's overly formal image. In what could only be described as a calculated risk, the sisters, perhaps with some reluctance from Paola, brought Lagerfeld on board to revolutionize their fur line. What followed was a remarkable fusion of ideas that would catapult Fendi into the global fashion spotlight, with Lagerfeld becoming one of the most influential designers of the 20th century. Karl Lagerfeld's arrival at Fendi in 1965 may have been to work on its fur line, but he quickly saw more potential than simply crafting luxury coats, and his vision was to introduce a playful, imaginative twist, what he dubbed fun fur. This reimagining would not only widen Fendi's appeal, but also preserve its aura of opulence. And in true Lagerfeld style, it would do so with flair, turning the ordinary into something extraordinary. The now iconic double F logo emerged soon after Lagerfeld's arrival. Conceived in just minutes, the design symbolized fun fur and became synonymous with the creative duality that has long defined Fendi. Tradition fused with bold modernity. The logo wasn't merely a visual marker, it was a declaration that Fendi was ready to juggle its Roman roots while embracing Parisian sophistication. This strategic emblem elevated the brand, making it impossible to ignore in the competitive world of fashion. Thus, with Lagerfeld at the helm, the Fendi sisters, Paola, Anna, Franca, Carla, and Alda, stood at the edge of a rapidly evolving industry. As they ventured into Parisian haute couture, they faced stiff competition from the likes of Chanel and Dior. However, instead of retreating, they pressed forward, embracing innovation. Fendi pushed boundaries, developing lighter, more vibrant fur designs that shifted fur from merely being traditional outerwear into a bold fashion statement. By the 1980s and 1990s, Fendi had achieved global fame, becoming a beacon of Italian luxury. The five sisters had transformed a modest Roman fur shop into a fashion powerhouse, aided by Lagerfeld's genius. Fendi's double F logo was now an international symbol of glamour, and their handbags and furs were lauded by fashionistas around the world. However, as success mounted, so did internal tensions. Financial pressures increased, and the sisters found themselves eyeing a windfall to help keep the brand growing. Therefore, the eventual sale to LVMH in 2000 marked a significant shift, and amid this transition, a new force was waiting in the wings. Silvia Venturini Fendi, Anna's daughter, represented the next generation, and her arrival would soon reignite Fendi's creative flame, with her most notable contribution being the creation of the iconic baguette bag, a design that would go on to shape Fendi's identity for years to come. While the brand's future under corporate leadership was still uncertain, Silvia's presence signaled that the Fendi family's creative legacy was far from finished. Silvia Venturini Fendi, daughter of Anna Fendi, was practically raised in the art of fashion, and from an early age, she roamed the halls of the family's Rome atelier, where the hum of sewing machines and the chatter of designers filled the air. It was a world where creativity wasn't merely discussed, it was made tangible, brought to life through fabric, leather, and an endless stream of ideas. By 1994, she returned to the fold, stepping into her role under the keen guidance of Karl Lagerfeld, the brand's creative force since the mid-60s, and these early years were a time of immersion for Silvia, as she studied the delicate dance between tradition and modernity. But it was 1997 when Silvia's star truly ascended. With the creation of the baguette bag, a compact, sleek accessory designed to be tucked under the arm like its namesake French bread, she redefined luxury handbags. You see, at a time when oversized bags dominated the market, the baguette was a minimalist revelation. Its appeal was immediate, capturing not only the attention of fashion insiders, but the broader culture as well. Its appearance on Sex and the City vaulted it into the stratosphere of it bags, a coveted symbol for the stylish set. Indeed, the baguette's impact went beyond commercial success. It signified a marriage of old-world craftsmanship with modern sensibility. And it came at a time of transition. Fendi was moving under the ownership of LVMH, the French luxury conglomerate. Yet Silvia's bag became a symbol of continuity, proof that even under corporate stewardship, Fendi's essence, built on Italian craftsmanship and flair, could not only survive, but thrive. Silvia's leadership provided the connective tissue between the brand's artisanal past and its evolving present. As the 2000s rolled on, the Fendi sisters, who had shepherded the brand through its most transformative years, began stepping back. Carla Fendi, the sibling most adept at business, passed away in 2017, leaving behind a legacy of global growth and innovation. However, the Fendi family spirit remained firmly rooted in the brand, largely through Silvia's efforts. Even as LVMH expanded the company's reach, Silvia's design sensibility ensured that the Fendi name was still synonymous with the artistry and craft that defined it from the beginning. Yet, the baguette was not the end of Silvia's contributions. She followed up with the peekaboo bag, another instant classic. Like the baguette, the peekaboo fused the past and the future, offering both elegance and modernity in one package. Under Silvia's watchful eye, Fendi remained not just relevant, but essential to the luxury landscape. Her penchant for collaboration further pushed the brand's boundaries. By teaming up with contemporary artists and designers, she kept Fendi's creative pulse fresh while never straying too far from its roots. Thus, the Fendi sisters, once the defining figures behind the brand, had seen their vision extend far beyond what they might have imagined. Despite the corporate shifts, the heart of Fendi, its meticulous craftsmanship, its innovative spirit, remained intact. $5 can't buy much these days. Maybe a coffee if you're lucky. But in the year 1887, $5 and a wild dream was all a man named John W. Nordstrom needed to spark a retail revolution that would redefine American luxury. And today, his great-grandsons are betting $3.8 billion that his old world values can survive in our one-click universe. And while you might think you know Nordstrom, yes, the time they spent 2 hours helping you find the perfect wedding shoes counts, the story behind those pristine storefronts and legendary service reveals something surprising about what we're really buying. Indeed, It's not just designer labels and premium denim. It's a century-old promise that began in the Klondike Gold Rush and now faces its greatest test as Eric and Pete Nordstrom attempt to preserve their family soul in an age where algorithms predict our desires before we even have them. Thus, in today's episode, we'll share the full goss with you, from a humble Seattle shoe store to a retail empire that redefined American luxury, as we describe. The Nordstrom Brothers, when your family conquers luxury fashion. Eric and Pete Nordstrom, the dashing great-grandsons of John Nordstrom, have recently tossed their hats and, not to mention, a cool $3.8 billion into the ring to take the iconic Seattle-based retailer private. And with fortunes estimated at $95 million and $114 million respectively as of 2024, the brothers are hardly window shopping. But let's be frank, given their deep pockets and stakes in the company, these estimates might just be the tip of the financial iceberg. Now, the brothers' wealth springs from their deep-seated roles in the family business. Yes, that Nordstrom, the department store that is practically the first purchase of every newly minted millionaire in America. There's Eric, the CEO with the Midas touch, and Pete, the president and chief brand officer with an eye for style, who collectively own a 33.4% chunk of Nordstrom Inc. And these two aren't just in it for the love of fashion. They own the runway. Yet, despite their overflowing coffers, the Nordstrom brothers sport a remarkably low profile. Indeed, you won't catch them splurging on gold-plated yachts or flaunting diamond-studded cufflinks. Thus, their brand of wealth whispers class, not screams it, staying true to the family's legacy of valuing diligent work and pristine customer service over lavish displays of excess. But the latest plot twist involves their alliance with El Puerto de Liverpool, a Mexican retail heavyweight, which has snagged nearly a 10% stake in Nordstrom. Together, they've pitched a sweet deal at $23 per share, a sumptuous 35% premium over the stock's price tag, when whispers of the deal first tickled the market's ears back in March. This princely offer unfolds just as Nordstrom begins to strut out of a sales slump. By the second quarter of 2024, the tills were ringing to the tune of a 3.4% rise in total sales. The real showstopper, however, has been the Nordstrom Rack division, where sales leaped by an impressive 8.8%. The backdrop to this financial theatre includes the recent curtain call of Bruce Nordstrom, the patriarch and former chairman who passed away last May at the ripe age of 90. This changing of the guard might well have set the stage for this bold private takeover. Currently, the buyout is under the scrutiny of a special committee within Nordstrom's board, a team as discerning as any fashion critic. Should they give their nod of approval, this acquisition could stitch a whole new pattern into the fabric of Nordstrom's 122-year-old history. However, in order to better understand how the changing of the guard of this iconic brand is likely to play out for the Nordstrom brothers, we'll have to roll back the clock and head over to 19th century Sweden in the next chapter. In the bitter winter of 1887, a young Swedish immigrant named John W. Nordstrom stepped onto American soil with $5 in his pocket and not a word of English on his tongue. What followed would transform not just his own life, but the very landscape of American retail. Though none could have predicted it then, as the penniless immigrant made his way across the vast continent, taking whatever work his calloused hands could find. The awakening came in 1897, when whispers of gold in the Klondike reached his ears. While thousands would find only failure in those frozen Alaskan wastes, Nordstrom emerged after 2 grueling years with $13,000, a fortune at the time that would seed an empire. But it wasn't the gold itself that would prove most valuable. It was a chance meeting with a shoemaker named Carl F. Wallin that would alter the course of retail history. The small shoe store they opened in 1901 at 4th and Pike in Seattle seemed unremarkable, a modest 20-foot storefront, nothing more. Yet, within those narrow confines, Nordstrom was already laying the foundation of something far greater. And his philosophy was deceptively simple: Offer customers the finest service, selection, quality, and value. But in this simplicity lay a revolutionary approach to American retail. As the business grew, Nordstrom's sons, Everett, Elmer, and Lloyd, watched and learned. In 1928, at 57, John Nordstrom sold his share to his two eldest sons. The following year, Wallin followed suit. This transition marked not just a change in ownership, but a transformation in how the business would operate. You see, the brothers instituted an unusual system of rotating titles, sharing the presidency among themselves, a structure that flew in the face of traditional corporate hierarchy but proved remarkably effective. It was during the crushing years of the Great Depression that the true genius of the Nordstrom approach revealed itself. While other retailers faltered and failed, the brothers doubled down on their father's philosophy. They understood something profound about American retail, that in times of hardship, customers would remember not just what they bought, but how they were treated when buying it. Therefore, the brothers' method was methodical, deliberate. They trained their staff with an intensity that bordered on obsession, instilling in them not just knowledge about their products, but an almost religious devotion to customer service. This wasn't mere salesmanship, it was the creation of an experience, one that would set Nordstrom apart from every other retailer in America. Soon, the post-war boom of the 1940s and 50s provided fertile ground for expansion. The brothers moved cautiously but deliberately, choosing their locations with surgical precision. Each new store was not just a point of sale, but a symbol of their philosophy, a physical manifestation of their commitment to service and quality. By 1960, what had begun as a humble shoe store had grown into the largest shoe retailer in the country, with 8 locations spread across Washington and Oregon. But the numbers alone don't tell the full story. What the Nordstrom brothers had created was more than a successful business. It was a new model of American retail, one that would influence the industry for generations to come. In the cold Seattle winter of 1963, 3 aging brothers stood at a crossroads that would alter the trajectory of American retail forever. Everett, Elmer, and Lloyd Nordstrom had built their father's humble shoe store into a regional empire. But now they faced a decision that would transform not just their business, but the very nature of shopping in America. Before them lay an opportunity: Best's Apparel, a temple of high fashion that had clothed Seattle's elite since 1925. Its founder, Ivan Lovitch Best, had reached his own crossroads after his wife Dorothy's death in 1958. The store's polished marble floors and elegant displays represented everything the Nordstrom shoe business was not. Yet Lloyd Nordstrom saw something deeper, a bridge to the future, a way to preserve and expand the family legacy as retirement loomed. The timing was crucial. The brothers' sons were coming of age, eager to prove themselves in the family business. Young Bruce Nordstrom, who had started in the stockroom at 9 years old for 25 cents an hour, now stood ready at 30. The purchase of Best's would give these sons the canvas they craved. The acquisition reshaped everything. Within 3 years, the distinct identities of Nordstrom shoes and Best's Apparel began to blur. In 1966, at Tacoma Mall, a new creation emerged: Nordstrom Best, a hybrid that would redefine American retail. The sons watched and learned as their fathers orchestrated this transformation, knowing their time approached. That moment came in 1968. The 3 brothers, their work complete, stepped aside. Into their place stepped 5 young men: Bruce Nordstrom, his cousins James and John, their brother-in-law John A. McMillan, and Robert E. Bender. They were young, ambitious, and hungry to prove themselves worthy of their inheritance. Under their guidance, Nordstrom unleashed its full potential. The 1971 public offering provided capital for expansion, though the family maintained iron control of voting rights. By 1973, sales exceeded $100 million, and the first Nordstrom Rack opened in Seattle, a new concept in discount retail. But it was 1978 that marked the decisive moment: the opening of their first store outside the Pacific Northwest, in Orange County, California. The regional chain was going national, and the transformation was staggering. Under Bruce Nordstrom's leadership, the company exploded from 7 shoe stores to 156 locations across 27 states, with revenues soaring from $40 million to $8.6 billion. By 1980, only Saks, Fifth Avenue and Lord & Taylor stood ahead of Nordstrom in specialty retail. Yet, through it all, through the computerization and modernization, through the expansion and transformation, one thing remained constant. The lessons Bruce had learned in that stockroom at age 9, earning his quarter an hour. Service, quality, value. The principles his grandfather had established in 1901 still guided the empire he now commanded. They called it the Nordstrom Way, but in the mahogany-panelled boardrooms of America's great retail establishments, Saks Fifth Avenue, Lord & Taylor, the giants that had dominated American luxury shopping for generations, executives whispered about it with a mixture of admiration and fear. For in the early 1980s, something unprecedented was stirring in the American West, something that would reshape the landscape of American retail forever. The company's ambitions reached far beyond the Cascade Mountains that loomed outside their windows. They planned to nearly double their presence, adding 25 new stores in a single decade, a pace of expansion that would have seemed reckless to more cautious minds. And in the numbers, there was a story that could not be ignored. In just 3 years, from 1980 to 1983, Nordstrom's sales exploded from $407 million to $787 million. And their earnings, that most crucial measure of retail success, more than doubled from $19.7 million to $40.2 million. But these figures, impressive as they were, masked an even more significant transformation taking place beneath the surface. California became their proving ground, and what began in 1978 with a single store in Orange County grew into an intricate network of retail fortresses. By 1984, 7 full-size stores dotted the California landscape. 5 years later, that number had tripled to 22. Each new location served as both embassy and beachhead, spreading the gospel of Nordstrom's legendary customer service across the Golden State. But it was the company's eastward expansion that truly revealed the scope of their ambition. In March 1988, Nordstrom planted their flag in McLean, Virginia, just outside the nation's capital. The 238,000-square-foot store became an immediate sensation, generating over $1 million in first-day sales and $100 million in its first year. And that same year, they unveiled their crown jewel in San Francisco, a 350,000-square-foot temple of luxury retail, complete with 103 champagne brands and a health spa that rivaled those of ancient Rome. The company's method of expansion followed a carefully orchestrated pattern, establishing regional strongholds that would serve as launching pads for further growth. Each new store became a training ground, each market a carefully cultivated garden that would bear fruit for decades to come. By 1995, as Nordstrom prepared to enter New York State, the very heart of American retail, they had opened 46 new full-line department stores in less than 2 decades. But in the corridors of the White Plains store, amid the soft rustle of silk dresses and the quiet murmur of satisfied customers, few could have guessed at the storm gathering on the horizon, a transformation that would shake American retail to its very foundations. In the waning days of the 20th century, as the digital revolution began reshaping American commerce, the leaders of Nordstrom, a century-old retail institution built on the foundation of face-to-face service, faced a momentous decision. The year was 1998. Amazon, barely 3 years old, was already threatening to upend traditional retail. The question before Nordstrom was stark: adapt or decline. The launch of Nordstrom.com that year represented more than merely a website. It marked the beginning of a transformation that would reshape every aspect of how the company operated. The magnitude of this change cannot be understood without grasping what Nordstrom had been: a temple of personal service where sales associates knew customers by name and hand-wrote thank you notes. Now, with a few clicks, customers could browse and purchase without ever speaking to another human being. The success was swift and decisive. Within 2 years, industry analysts at the Forrester Group had declared Nordstrom's online experience superior to all competitors. But more significant changes lay ahead. By 2019, a third of all Nordstrom's sales, billions of dollars, would flow through digital channels, a transformation so complete that the company's physical stores, once its crown jewels, were being reimagined as fulfillment centers for online orders. The architects of this transformation were Pete and Eric Nordstrom, fourth-generation heirs to the family business. These brothers, raised in the tradition of their grandfather's handshake deals and their father's obsession with customer service, now found themselves presiding over a technological revolution. Their response was to create Nordstrom Local, stores without inventory, an idea that would have been inconceivable to their ancestors, and to develop systems allowing customers to reserve items online and try them on in stores within 2 hours. Yet, even as Nordstrom mastered the digital realm within American borders, its attempt to expand into Canada revealed the limits of its influence. The company's 2014 entry into the Canadian market had been meticulously planned, with flagship stores in Calgary, Ottawa, Vancouver, and Toronto. But by 2023, all would be shuttered, leaving 2,500 workers jobless, a stark reminder that even the most prestigious retailers could stumble in unfamiliar territory. The challenges of expansion paled in comparison to the political maelstrom that engulfed Nordstrom in 2017. The decision to drop Ivanka Trump's fashion line, officially attributed to poor sales, thrust the company into the center of national politics. When President Donald Trump publicly condemned the company, Nordstrom found itself facing a test unlike any in its 116-year history. The market's response, a 4% stock price increase despite presidential criticism, demonstrated that old institutions could sometimes withstand new pressures. Throughout these transformations, one constant remained: the company's obsession with customer service, a tradition dating back to John W. Nordstrom's first shoe store in 1901. As Chief Innovation Officer Givi Thomas emphasized, technology would serve this mission, not replace it. In 2023, with the appointment of family member Jamie Nordstrom as Chief Merchandising Officer, the company reaffirmed this commitment to its founding principles while acknowledging the inevitability of change. The year is 1993. We find ourselves within the majestic confines of Gucci's historic headquarters. Maurizio Gucci, the calculating successor of a splendid fashion legacy spanning over 60 years, stands at the precipice of a heart-rending decision. He once tactfully maneuvered through family intrigues and power plays, as if a lead actor in a Shakespearean tragedy's third act. Today, however, he faces a daunting task: relinquishing his perceived birthright. In the austere boardroom, Maurizio, aged 46, is painstakingly conducting negotiations for the sale of the Gucci name to Investcorp, a globally recognized Bahrain-based management firm. The resonant echoes of his flamboyant spending, impulsive life choices, and costly marriage fill the tense air, serving as harsh reminders of why he must surrender the Gucci legacy. This poignant scene mirrors a common narrative for old money fashion dynasties. Surprisingly, the designer label adorning your attire or luxury handbag is often no longer owned by the namesake family. Today, on Old Money Luxury, we delve into the tragic sagas of why and how old money fashion families lose their luxury empires. Fashion's family dynasties have a rich and storied history, with the concept of old money in the industry stretching back to the 19th and early 20th centuries. These families built their fortunes in an era of rapid industrialization and societal transformation, leveraging their unique skills, creativity, and business acumen to establish what would become some of the world's most renowned luxury fashion houses. Prominent examples of old money fashion families include the Guccis, the Pradas, the Versaces, and the Fendis. These dynasties have not just shaped fashion trends across generations, but they have also wielded significant influence on global culture, lifestyle, and luxury consumer behavior. Their impact extends beyond the catwalk. They've had an indelible effect on the art world, film industry, and high society circles. When everything is going well, being a family-run business in fashion brings numerous advantages. There's often a deep-seated understanding and passion for the craft passed down through generations, fostering a sense of continuity and tradition that can strongly resonate with consumers. Moreover, these businesses tend to have long-term visions, a factor that often translates into a more sustainable business approach. Indeed, Much like dynasties of royal hereditary monarchs around the world, successful family transitions are integral to these old money fashion dynasties. For instance, the Hermès family has managed to maintain control of their brand across 5 generations, with a clearly defined succession plan that has allowed them to retain their brand's distinct identity. Similarly, Chanel has kept the brand's legacy alive despite the passing of its founder, thanks to the foresight and talent of the late Karl Lagerfeld. However, maintaining a family-run fashion house isn't without its challenges. Family control often comes with its fair share of internal dynamics that can threaten the stability of the business. Disputes over control, diverging visions for the brand, or even a lack of interest from younger family members in taking the reins can result in instability. Let us now describe 3 key examples of just how these dynamics can savagely wrench an old money fashion family's namesake from their duly deserved next generations. In the movingly romantic streets of 1850s Paris, Louis Vuitton, a visionary craftsman, transformed his passion for luggage making into a thriving enterprise. His obsession with exquisite craftsmanship quickly enamored the Parisian elite, and the humble shop's reputation burgeoned into a symbol of opulence, setting the stage for a luxury travel revolution. Under the astute guidance of Louis's son, Georges Vuitton, the brand unfurled its wings globally. A potent mix of innovation and tradition birthed masterpieces like the iconic monogram canvas, entrenching Louis Vuitton as an emblem of elegance and affluence. However, as the decades ticked into the 1970s and 80s, the gilded brand began to tarnish. The market swelled with counterfeit Vuitton products, shadowing the brand's exclusivity with a veil of reproducibility. The ambitious venture into ready-to-wear collections, although initially a triumph, soon turned into a battleground against relentless competition and fickle fashion trends. At the helm of the chaos was Henri Rassamier, husband to Louis Vuitton's great-granddaughter. He seized control in 1977, steering the brand towards growth. Yet the familial ties weaving the brand together began to unravel as Rassamier's vision clashed with the others. Family disputes over the company's trajectory, set against the backdrop of intensifying competition, birthed a maelstrom of internal turmoil and management missteps. Confronted with this perfect storm, the Vuitton family made a heart-wrenching decision. In 1987, they sold Louis Vuitton to the spirits conglomerate Moet Hennessy, birthing the powerhouse LVMH, thus leading to the rise of the world's richest man, the almighty monarch of modern fashion, Bernard Arnault. If you're curious about the backstory of the Arnault family dynasty and the current competition to helm that $500 billion luxury empire, click the card on screen to watch our recent deep dive into that intoxicating tale of fashion intrigue. Of course, the Vuitton family's loss to the LVMH labyrinth was a bitter pill to swallow, with emotional ties and the family's storied history, with the brand adding a sting to the sale. But the harsh reality of economic pressures and family dynamics left them no choice. The Vuittons found themselves marooned post-acquisition, their once powerful influence dwindling to a whisper. Lucky for them, however, the loss of their namesake would not, at least not yet, be the subject of a huge Hollywood blockbuster film, showcasing the tragic loss of the company and death of one of the family's key members. That unfortunate reality would be the story of our next old money fashion family to lose their luxury empire. The riveting narrative of the Gucci family is one of humble beginnings, ascension to dizzying heights, and an eventual devastating collapse. The prologue unfolds in 1921, with the industrious Italian artisan Guccio Gucci launching a modest leather goods shop in the heart of Florence. Over decades, this unassuming endeavor metamorphosed into one of the most esteemed luxury fashion icons globally. The golden age of Gucci emerged in the 1950s and 60s, buoyed by celebrity endorsements and high-profile patronage. A pivotal chapter was inscribed in 1953 when Jackie Kennedy, the era's unparalleled fashion muse, was photographed clutching a Gucci bag during her husband's presidential inauguration. This defining moment not only cemented Gucci's foothold in America, but also projected the brand onto the global stage. In tribute, the bag was fittingly renamed the Jackie. However, the glittering sheen of success began to tarnish as time marched into subsequent decades. Family discord, managerial missteps, and ill-judged business choices corroded the brand's image and profitability. The Gucci family's stronghold on their empire began to crumble in the 1980s, when the Gucci siblings found themselves ensnared in a bitter power struggle, their personal battles spilling over into lawsuits that further dented the brand. Amidst this tumultuous storm, the family could do little to stem the ebbing profits and surging debts. By the late 1980s, the brutal reality had set in. They needed to sell Gucci to Investcorp, a Bahrain-based investment firm. The aftermath was a total loss of the brand for the Gucci family. Maurizio Gucci, the final family member at the helm, was compelled to offload his remaining shares in 1993, marking the definitive end of the Gucci family's reign. The tragedy was amplified with Maurizio's sudden death in 1995 and his ex-wife's subsequent conviction for orchestrating his murder, a macabre epilogue to a tale of luxury and loss. Of course, at this point, it should go without saying that if you're fascinated by this topic, the Guccis and even more fashion empires, you must watch the incredibly riveting film House of Gucci, featuring Oscar-worthy dramatizations of this saga. Truth be told, anything with Lady Gaga and/or Adam Driver in it is worth seeing, regardless of the topic. Now, the Gucci saga epitomizes the dangerous cocktail of internal family feuds, ineffective management, and lack of succession planning that can precipitate the downfall of even an internationally acclaimed family business like Gucci. However, interestingly, Gucci itself, as a brand not by the Gucci family, would purchase the next family name we will discuss, swallowing up the last pieces of a brilliant brand that, to this day, is marked by cutting-edge influence and fashion prowess. The captivating tale of the Saint Laurent family unfurls with the birth of Yves Saint Laurent, a prodigiously talented young man who, at the tender age of 21, would take the reins of the esteemed House of Dior following Christian Dior's sudden death in 1957. In the turbulent 1960s, Saint Laurent decided to part ways with Dior to establish his own fashion house. Backed by his partner, Pierre Berge, Yves Saint Laurent quickly gained a reputation for his groundbreaking designs. From Lee smoking suit to the sheer blouse, challenging societal norms and transforming the landscape of women's fashion. Saint Laurent's meteoric ascent was not without its tribulations, however. Struggles with addiction and the pressures of his high-profile position began to take a toll on his physical and mental health. Yet the Saint Laurent brand persisted, its star rising ever higher in the firmament of global fashion. However, the lustrous veneer began to show cracks as the decades advanced. Financial difficulties, partly due to a tumultuous market and the increasing costs of maintaining an haute couture line, began to erode the empire's foundations. In the late 1990s, in a plot twist that even Ridley Scott's direction couldn't find time to fit into a film, the decision was made to sell the brand to none other than the so-called Gucci Group, now a part of Kering conglomerate. With the sale, Yves Saint Laurent and Pierre Berge lost direct control over the fashion house they'd built, although they remained involved in the haute couture line until Yves' retirement in 2002. After Saint Laurent's death in 2008, Berge became the custodian of his legacy, overseeing the preservation and exhibition of Yves' designs in their jointly established foundation. Yet the brand itself moved forward under new stewardship, shepherded by successive creative directors such as Tom Ford, Stefano Pilati, and Hedi Slimane, who continued to reinterpret Yves' iconic designs for a new generation. When you imagine the pulsating fashion heartbeat of New York City, your mind might dance to visions of celebrities or models, their heels clicking against the concrete catwalk, or streetwear culture bubbling up from the urban depths. Yet, unbeknownst to many, the true conductor of this fashion symphony is a generationally wealthy family you've probably never heard of, pulling the strings from behind a velvet curtain. In today's episode of Old Money Luxury, we reveal a New York fashion dynasty built not just on the glossy pages of magazines, but on the very essence of media influence. Indeed, the Newhouse family, although coming from extremely humble origins on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, has masterfully maneuvered the chess pieces of couture, media, and culture. As we peel back the layers of this enigmatic powerhouse, a story unfolds that is as much about the fabric of American enterprise as it is about the threads worn on the streets of New York. Beneath the dazzling lights of New York fashion lies a well-kept secret. The strings of style are pulled by an old money family most wouldn't suspect, maneuvering the chess pieces of couture with a silent, seasoned hand. Enter Donald Newhouse, not merely a player in the media sphere, but its reigning king, with a fortune soaring to an eye-watering $19.4 billion US. And his realm, advanced publications, is far from the media dynasties of yore initiated by Samuel Irving Newhouse, Sr. in 1922. This empire has blossomed into a veritable treasure trove, boasting the elite of magazine publishing, think Vogue, Vanity Fair, and The New Yorker, and branching into the realms of cable and the digital frontier with pieces like Reddit in its opulent mosaic. Now, let's cast the spotlight on Condé Nast, a name that whispers of fashion nobility yet remains an enigma to the uninitiated. Beneath the Newhouse ensign, it reigns supreme, not merely disseminating trends, but decreeing them, shaping the fashion world's zeitgeist. You see, Vogue isn't just a magazine. It's the gospel according to the fashion world, with Anna Wintour as its high priestess. And this isn't just about pretty clothes. It's about setting the cultural thermostat, with editions from Paris to Tokyo singing from the same hymn sheet, all orchestrated from a digital hub in London. But wait, there's a digital twist. Condé Nast isn't just leafing through pages. It's streaming into the future with Vogue's digital channels, cooking up original series that keep the brand buzzing across the interwebs. It's like they've got a crystal ball for media evolution. At the heart of this fashion empire stands Anna Wintour, wielding her influence with the finesse of a chess grandmaster. Since taking the helm of American Vogue in 1988, she's not just been in fashion, she has been fashion. And her eye for trends is seen as prophetic, catapulting Vogue and Condé Nast into the stratosphere of fashion authority. And then there's the Met Gala, fashion's night of nights, transformed under Wintour's watch into a spectacle that has everyone from Hollywood royalty to the titans of art vying for an invite. Indeed, for many, it's the Oscars of the fashion world, where Wintour's Midas touch sets the agenda for the style zeitgeist. Thus, the Newhouse dynasty, with its command over advanced publications and Condé Nast, secretly weaves its influence through the fabric of New York and beyond, stitching together decisions that shape how we perceive fashion. And yet, this mammoth dynasty didn't start with a silver spoon in the mouth or a golden thread strewn across itself. Indeed, the saga of the Newhouse family begins, like so many American beginnings, as a rags-to-riches fairy tale in New York City. The origins of the wealthy family that would come to rule New York fashion begins with one Samuel Irving Newhouse Sr., originally Solomon Isidore Neuhaus, who was welcomed into the world on the 24th of May, 1895, in a modest dwelling on Manhattan's Lower East Side. As the firstborn of 8 siblings, his early life was set against the backdrop of a Jewish immigrant family navigating the complexities of American society. And his parents, Maya Neuhaus, from Vitebsk, within the Russian Empire's bounds in what is present-day Belarus, and Rose, maiden name Ahrenfeld, from Austria-Hungary, embodied the aspirations and adversities typical of immigrants during that era. You see, the Neuhaus household was one of perseverance amidst economic difficulties and health setbacks, particularly for Maya, who had aspired to become a rabbi. And with limited marketable skills and compromised health, Maya found the American dream elusive. This led the family to relocate to Bayonne, New Jersey, hoping for a more favorable turn of events. Unfortunately, Maya's continuing health challenges necessitated a move to Connecticut in 1908 to live with his sister, leaving the family to fend for themselves. Now, in these trying times, Samuel, affectionately known as Sammy or Sam, emerged as a pillar of support for his family. His father's departure thrust upon him the responsibility of household provider, a role he embraced with maturity beyond his years. Opting to leave formal education behind, Samuel pursued a bookkeeping course at the Gaffrey School in Manhattan, marking the start of an extraordinary rise from humble beginnings to significant accomplishments. And Samuel's business acumen became apparent early on. His initial venture into the workforce as an office boy for Judge Herman Lazarus in Bayonne set the stage for his remarkable trajectory. His dedication and skill quickly earned him a promotion to office manager at the age of 16, reflecting his inherent leadership and innovative spirit. And one of Samuel's early notable achievements was his role in revitalizing the Bayonne Times. Tasked with managing the struggling newspaper, he ingeniously boosted its advertisement revenue, transforming its fortunes and securing a substantial ownership stake for himself. This success was a clear testament to his entrepreneurial drive and his knack for turning challenges into opportunities. But beyond his early exploits in the newspaper industry, Samuel was committed to furthering his education. He attended law school at night, earning a degree from the New Jersey Law School, now Rutgers School of Law, Newark, in 1916. However, his legal career was short-lived. After a disappointing loss in his sole case, Samuel compensated the client from his own funds, a decision that underscored his integrity but also solidified his preference for the newspaper business over legal practice. Yet, by 1922, Samuel's vision expanded beyond his initial successes. Pooling together his earnings, a modest financial contribution from his siblings, and leveraging the support of his early mentor, Judge Herman Lazarus, he embarked on a significant venture. With an investment of $98,000, a considerable sum at the time, Samuel acquired the Staten Island Advance. This strategic acquisition not only diversified his interests, but also laid the groundwork for what would evolve into a sprawling media conglomerate. Indeed, the Staten Island Advance would soon become the linchpin of Advance publications, propelling Samuel Newhouse Sr. into the annals of media moguls and establishing a lasting legacy in the American publishing landscape. In the dawn of the 1920s, Samuel Irving Newhouse Sr. set the foundation for a legacy in the American media sphere that would extend its influence for generations. Starting with the acquisition of the Staten Island Advance in 1922, Newhouse didn't merely enter the publishing arena. He initiated the expansion of a media dynasty, marking the first major step in a journey toward widespread ownership and influence across the media landscape. And Newhouse Sr.'s vision and strategic prowess were evident as he navigated the media industry, methodically expanding his holdings. For example, his acumen for seizing growth opportunities reshaped his initial venture into a diverse portfolio, encompassing a range of media outlets. Then, the interwar served as a crucial phase in the expansion of Newhouse's empire. Specifically, Samuel Irving Newhouse Sr.'s venture into fashion media, notably through the acquisition of Condé Nast Publications and its crown jewel, Vogue, in 1959 for $5 million, was as much a strategic business move as it was a personal endeavor, influenced by his wife's fondness for the magazine and, reportedly, as an anniversary gift. According to Newhouse himself, she asked for a fashion magazine and I went out and got her Vogue. And under Newhouse's guidance, Vogue transcended its already prestigious status, becoming a powerhouse of fashion and cultural influence. Now, the zenith of Newhouse Sr.'s influence spanned the 1960s and 70s, but his leadership extended beyond newspapers, deeply influencing the luxury magazine segment. Newhouse's media conglomerate, boasting titles like Vanity Fair and The New Yorker, became emblematic of cultural refinement and intellectual depth. And beyond his editorial empire, Newhouse was a notable figure in the arts and philanthropy, leaving a lasting impact on America's cultural scene. However, as we know, it takes more than just one generation or patriarch to make a family truly have generational wealth or become old money. In the next chapter, we'll see how Samuel Newhouse Sr.'s sons continued to carry the family mantle to even higher heights. Donald Newhouse and Samuel Irving Newhouse Jr., heirs to the influential Newhouse media empire, were immersed in the world of publishing, gaining insights and knowledge that would later guide them in leading the family's media conglomerate. Born in New York City in 1929, Donald Newhouse was intimately connected to the family business from a young age, learning the ropes by shadowing his father on newspaper routes. This hands-on experience complemented his academic pursuits. He later attended Syracuse University, furthering his education in preparation for a leadership role within the empire. Similarly, Samuel Irving Newhouse Jr., more commonly known as Cy, came into the world in November 1927, also in New York City. His education began at the Horace Mann School, a reputable private prep school, laying a solid academic foundation. Then, Cy's educational journey continued at Syracuse University, aligning with his father's media interests in the area. Despite departing Syracuse University prematurely, Cy's diverse experiences, including a journalistic stint in Paris and military service, broadened his understanding of the media industry and prepared him for future challenges. Next, the 1980s marked a significant period of transition for the Newhouse media holdings following the death of Samuel Irving Newhouse Sr. in 1979. Leadership of the empire passed to Donald and Cy Newhouse, signaling a new chapter in the company's history. This handover was not just a routine succession, it was a critical juncture that would dictate the direction of the family's media operations for years to come. Donald took charge of the newspaper division, applying his thorough knowledge of publishing and an eye for detail to oversee operations. And Cy, on the other hand, led the magazine division, including the esteemed Condé Nast portfolio, which featured iconic titles such as Vogue, The New Yorker, and Vanity Fair. Together, the brothers sought to honor their father's legacy while steering the company into a new era of digital transformation and market expansion. Now, Donald, steering the newspaper division, adeptly navigated the turbid waters of a declining print media sector. His efforts to modernize and digitally transform the family's newspaper portfolio were critical in maintaining their relevancy amidst a digital surge. His strategic investments in online platforms and technologies underscored a forward-thinking mindset that ensured the newspapers continued to engage readers in the digital era. And the strategic vision of the Newhouse brothers extended beyond domestic shores, eyeing the lucrative potential of global markets. The inception of Condé Nast International under their guidance marked a bold foray into foreign markets, launching flagship titles like Vogue in China, India, Russia, among others. This global expansion strategy not only broadened their brand's horizons, but also penetrated new audience segments and advertising opportunities, significantly bolstering the empire's growth trajectory. Their foray into digital media was highlighted by judicious investments in platforms such as Reddit, which soared to become one of the globe's most frequented websites. Their early stake in Reddit in 2006 stood as a symbol of their knack for identifying and leveraging digital trends early on, an investment that would yield substantial returns and underscore their prowess in digital strategy. However, the Newhouse brothers are not the only name in the next generations to get their time in the spotlight. Charlotte Newhouse, a descendant of this influential media dynasty, has carved her niche in the entertainment world, particularly within comedy. Charlotte's foray into the entertainment sector is distinguished by her role as both creator and star of the Comedy Central series Idiot Sitter, alongside Gillian Bell. The series, which initially debuted as a web series, received critical acclaim and was adapted for television due to its popularity. And Charlotte's academic journey, culminating in a Bachelor of Arts from Columbia University, coupled with her extensive experience in improvisational and sketch comedy with the Groundlings, has laid a robust foundation for her artistic endeavors. However, we'll have to flip over to the next chapter to find out about the future of the entirety of the Newhouse family name, and if it will continue to succeed as it has for decades so far. In an era defined by swift technological advances and shifting consumer preferences, Condé Nast, under the guidance of Donald Newhouse, has adeptly navigated the transition from traditional print media to the digital frontier. This transition has been crucial for the company, a titan in the fashion publishing sector, faced with the imperative to evolve or risk obsolescence. You see, the digital age has ushered in a precipitous decline in print advertising revenues, historically the lifeblood of Condé Nast's business model. This challenge has been compounded by a fragmented advertising market, where traditional publications now vie for attention and dollars against a myriad of digital entities, including blogs and online native magazines. In response, Condé Nast has broadened its financial base, turning to luxury e-commerce and digital subscriptions as new revenue sources. Furthermore, video content has emerged as a pivotal element of Condé Nast's digital strategy. The establishment of Condé Nast Entertainment signifies a deep dive into multimedia, producing a wide array of video content designed to captivate audiences across various digital platforms. Despite the initial hurdles in monetizing this format, the division has witnessed impressive growth, illustrating the potential of video in enriching the digital narrative. And Vogue, a jewel in the Condé Nast crown, continues to thrive under the editorial leadership of Anna Wintour. Beyond her editorial responsibilities, Wintour has become an iconic figure in the fashion industry, largely through her stewardship of the Met Gala. The event, under her direction, has evolved into a cultural touchstone, blending fashion, celebrity and philanthropy into a spectacle that sets trends and ignites conversations extending far beyond the fashion sphere. Therefore, the Newhouse family's forward-looking stance, combined with Wintour's visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to excellence, points to a future where creativity and wealth accumulation coalesce. As the company looks ahead, these qualities will be instrumental in steering Vogue and Condé Nast through the uncertain terrains of fashion journalism, ensuring the Newhouse dynasty's place at the industry's vanguard. In the heart of the grand headquarters of LVMH, a monthly ritual unfolds as the world's wealthiest man, Bernard Arnault, summons his 5 children to a family gathering. This is no ordinary home-cooked meal filled with the mundane chatter of what everyone did on the weekend. Instead, within these gilded walls, an enthralling spectacle that rivals the gripping drama of the TV show Succession unfolds. As Arnault, the 74-year-old patriarch, navigates the conversation around the table, he seeks strategic counsel from his offspring, scrutinizing their ability to helm a $500 billion luxury empire. The meeting commonly runs a tension-soaked 90 minutes in length, each answer warping into a make-or-break statement that could seal the fate to determine who among Delphine, Antoine, Alexandre, Frédéric and Jean will ascend to control the prestigious mammoth syndicate of Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior and Tiffany & Company. You see, this saga of power and legacy is more than a family affair. It's the Arnault children's private audition for the crown of LVMH. In today's episode, grab your luxury handbags and latest couture items as we take you on a journey through how the world's richest man will make the biggest decision of his life, picking an heir to his massive luxury empire. With a net worth that often hovers between $180 and $220 billion, Bernard Jean-Etienne Arnault is not just a player in the luxury goods market, he is the game itself. As the chairman and CEO of LVMH, he oversees a portfolio of 75 prestigious brands, including Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, and Tiffany & Company. You see, his rapacious swallowing of iconic luxury brands first began in 1989 with his initial takeover of LVMH, but that was just the beginning of his ambitious and strategic expansion. He's continuously grown the company's luxury brand portfolio, solidifying its position as a global leader, and his leadership styles legendarily marked by an unerring attention to detail and bold expansion strategies. Indeed, Arnault is known for his surprise visits to Louis Vuitton stores, directly engaging with employees, thus wielding a hands-on approach that has been crucial in maintaining the high standards and innovation LVMH is known for. Furthermore, his forward thinking is evident in his succession planning, with a proposed reorganization to distribute equal stakes of his holding company, Agache, among his 5 children, all of whom are in executive roles at LVMH. Even better, Arnault's lifestyle mirrors the luxury he peddles. His real estate includes 5 homes in Beverly Hills, totaling $125 million, and a $22 million property in East Hampton, New York. And his Paris mansion is a gallery in itself, housing works by everyone from Jean-Michel Basquiat to Damien Hirst. But his love for the arts extends beyond personal collection. Arnault's array includes rare pieces by Picasso and Warhol, and he often collaborates with artists for his brands. Yet, beyond luxury and art, Arnault's influence additionally stretches into political realms. He maintains a close connection to French heads of state, and his philanthropy is well known throughout his homeland. For instance, a globally recognized philanthropic move he made recently was his €200 million donation to the Notre Dame Cathedral restoration in 2019, a contribution that led French tycoons to collectively donate €300 million in total. for the cathedral's restoration. Indeed, this $500 billion man waltzes through the wild world of social influence with an ease that's almost unheard of in modern history, which begs the question, what makes a man with the weight of $500 billion on his mind at all times move with such effortless finesse through the volatile world of luxury? In order to find our answer, we'll have to go back to where it all began, under the industrial grey skies of 20th century northern France. In the early 1900s, northern France was a region where smokestacks painted the sky a relentless shade of grey, the rhythmic clank of machinery peppered the air, and streets were alive with the hustle of hardy souls. It is here, amidst this hive of industry and determination, that the roots of the Arnault family, now synonymous with luxury and grandeur, are firmly planted. Now, the Arnaults, even back then, not ones to shy away from a challenge, delved into the manufacturing industry with a vigour that was as palpable as the steam and soot of the factories that dotted the landscape. It was in Roubaix, a city that stood as a proud beacon of France's industrial prowess, where a child would be born who would paint the Arnault family's masterpieces. However, Bernard's father, Jean Arnault, would soon ironically decide to play with bricks and mortar instead of brush and canvas by creating a construction company long before his son Bernard made his grand entrance on the 5th of March 1949. Indeed, as we shall see, baby Bernard was not just another fortunate heir born with a silver spoon. From the start, he was a prodigy in the making. You see, his father, a shrewd businessman himself, instilled in young Bernard the intricacies of the business realm, setting the stage for his son's eventual dominance in the luxury goods market. Most assuredly, young Bernard's journey was not just a familial path he walked. As soon as he could, it quickly morphed into a runway he sauntered across. And at the École Polytechnique in Paris, from 1969 to 1971, he wasn't merely a student, he was a sponge, absorbing the nectar of knowledge, especially in engineering, science and technology. Already, here at one of France's leading engineering schools, was a young man sharpening his tools, preparing for a future where he would not just participate in the business world, he would revolutionize it. Upon his graduation in 1971, Bernard would quickly join the ranks of his father's construction company, Ferret Savinel. He was put in charge of 100 employees and quickly attempted to cut out his own vision within the family business under his father. But here's the twist. Young Arnault wasn't content with just being a part of the family law. He wanted to rewrite and expand it. Thus, in 1974, in a move that would have left Machiavelli nodding in approval, Bernard Arnault masterfully convinced his father to swap the rugged terrain of construction for the more lucrative vistas of real estate by giving birth to Ferinel, a company with a keen focus on holiday accommodations. Like a chess grandmaster, Arnault orchestrated the sale of the company's industrial construction arm, pivoting firmly towards real estate, where he deftly expanded their empire. Come 1981, with the French Socialist Party seizing the reins of power, Arnault, ever the strategist, whisked his family off to the US. There, over 3 years, he continued to weave his magic, growing Ferret Savinel's property portfolio. Yet 1984 marked a dramatic turn in Arnault's saga. Leaving behind the world of Ferret Savinel, he embarked on an audacious journey into the realm of luxury goods. In a bold, calculated move, and with the support of Antoine Bernheim of Lazare Frères and Company, he amassed a cool $80 million. But this war chest wasn't for a cautious foray. It was for a grand, theatrical plunge into the opulent waters of the luxury sector. His target? The then bankrupt French textile giant Boussac Saint-Frère, the proud owner of none other than Christian Dior. Therefore, this wasn't just a business maneuver, it was a statement. It was a declaration of Arnault's arrival on the luxury scene, setting the stage for a new era of elegance and extravagance. In 1984, Bernard Arnault found himself at the helm of the parent company of Christian Dior, marking the beginning of a pivotal chapter in his career and the luxury fashion industry. And indeed, his initial move was strategic and transformative. He quickly dove into a rigorous process of corporate rejuvenation, a task that demanded both surgical precision and a visionary's foresight. You see, Arnault's approach was twofold. First, he streamlined operations with a keen eye for efficiency and effectiveness. He did this by meticulously identifying and shed non-essential assets, a process that involved trimming down the conglomerate to its most profitable and promising elements. This proved to be a move that not only improved the financial health of the company, but also allowed for a more focused and coherent brand strategy. Simultaneously, Arnault nurtured the core luxury brands, particularly Christian Dior. He recognized the inherent value and potential of Dior and set about reinforcing its position in the luxury market. This involved investing in high-quality materials, refining the design and production processes, and ensuring that every Dior product exemplified the pinnacle of craftsmanship and style. Furthermore, Arnault focused on expanding the global footprint of Christian Dior. He strategically opened new boutiques in key luxury markets, enhancing the brand's visibility and accessibility. These stores were not just retail spaces, but embodiments of the Dior experience, designed to immerse customers in the elegance and sophistication of the brand. Thus, his relentless focus on resurrecting Christian Dior laid the foundation for what was to become a luxury powerhouse. Under his stewardship, Dior not only regained its lost glory, but also started setting new benchmarks in the luxury fashion industry. But Arnault's ambitions extended far beyond a single brand. He was building an empire, and 1987 marked a pivotal year in this venture. In a move that would redefine the luxury goods sector, Arnault orchestrated the merger of Louis Vuitton with Moet Hennessy. This wasn't merely a merger, it was truly the birth of a luxury goods empire, with Arnault firmly at its helm as chairman and CEO. Soon thereafter, Arnault, envisioning a conglomerate of high-end brands, faced initial skepticism. Yet, with his by then already legendary strategic acumen, he transformed this vision into a triumphant reality, amassing over 70 luxury brands under the LVMH banner. Next, by the mid-1990s, Arnault's ambitions had taken another tangible form in New York. His goal of cementing LVMH's presence in the United States culminated in the majestic LVMH Tower, unveiled in December 1999, and this architectural marvel stood as a symbol of his bold strategic foresight. And during this transformative era, Arnault's approach to mergers and acquisitions was a masterclass in corporate expansion. Under his guidance, LVMH's value surged by over 1,000% and profits increased by 500%. Furthermore, the mid-90s saw LVMH expanding its empire into new territories like Asia, with countries like China and South Korea eagerly embracing their luxury offerings. This led to a period that wasn't just about growth. It was about crafting an image and persona that epitomized luxury and success. LVMH set trends and became trendsetters, with campaigns like Louis Vuitton's 1997 Centennial Collection capturing not just eyes, but hearts worldwide. Indeed, by the turn of the millennium, LVMH had firmly established itself as the largest luxury products company in the world, a financial icon of Arnault's visionary leadership and the relentless pursuit of excellence. And yet, all the while, Bernard Arnault was thinking 2 or 3 decades ahead, wondering who he would have to pass the baton to when it was time to ride into the sunset. In the next chapter, we'll get a chance to meet his partner in crime when building that soon-to-be legendary succession plan. Bernard Arnault and Hélène Mercier, a Canadian pianist of considerable renown, first crossed paths at a dinner party in the fall of 1989, a meeting that turned out to be a prelude in a remarkable journey intertwining culture, music, and high-stakes business. You see, Mercier, a Montreal native born in February 1960, had been a piano prodigy since the tender age of 6, and her talent was not just a fleeting whisper. It was a resounding roar that earned her accolades at the Quebec and Canadian music competitions and the Prague International Chamber Music Competition. The romance between Arnault and Mercier blossomed rapidly, leading to their marriage in 1991, and this union was not just a merger of hearts, but a fusion of cultural depth and business savvy. Specifically, Mercier's entrance into Arnault's life brought a melodious balance to his entrepreneurial rhythm. She embraced the role of stepmother to his children from a previous marriage, and together, the couple expanded their family with 3 more children, Alexandre, Frédéric, and Jean. Now, By the early 2000s, Bernard Arnault's net worth had skyrocketed, catapulting him towards the zenith of global wealth. And it was around this time that Arnault's deep-seated passion for art and culture became prominently visible. He founded the Louis Vuitton Foundation in 2006, a French art museum and cultural center, backed by LVMH. The foundation's building, a monument to deconstructivist architecture designed by Frank Gehry, that same year, marking a new chapter in Arnault's cultural endeavors. But Arnault's love for art wasn't confined to institutional walls. He emerged as a distinguished art collector, acquiring masterpieces from Picasso, Warhol, Yves Klein, and Henry Moore. His collection, likely worth an unspeakable sum, was a vivid reflection of his personal investment in the arts. Concurrently, Arnault steered LVMH through a strategic expansion in the early part of the 2000s decade, and his acquisition spree broadened LVMH's luxury fashion portfolio significantly. In 2001, Arnault led LVMH to acquire Fendi, an Italian fashion giant, a move that was a crucial step in enhancing LVMH's luxury fashion footprint. Initially, LVMH had bought a stake in Fendi, along with Prada in 2000, but by November 2001, LVMH had emerged as the majority stakeholder, buying out Prada's share. Next, in 2004, Bernard Arnault turned his gaze towards the realms of watches and jewelry. Observing a notable absence in these luxurious arenas, he deftly steered LVMH to acquire Swiss watchmaking jewel, Tag Heuer, for a cool $502 million. This shrewd move catapulted LVMH into the high-stakes game of luxury watches, promising to propel Tag Heuer into uncharted territories. Similarly, 2011 heralded the acquisition of Italian luxury titan Bulgari, further cementing LVMH's dominance in the high-end jewelry sphere. Arnault's knack for fostering growth and synergy was unmistakable, and 2013 witnessed a fusion of luxury and art, epitomized by the Louis Vuitton and Jeff Koons collaboration. Arnault's penchant for marrying the art world with luxury fashion underscored the role of LVMH as a trailblazer in the luxury industry. And 2017 was a banner year for the Wolf in Cashmere, with a whopping 42 billion euros in revenue. However, as the registers raked in more dough, the clocks raked in less time. The decades were passing, and Bernard Arnault had still not picked a clear successor for his now 14-figure empire. As it stands today, no one individual child has been named as the clear heir to the throne, but we have a few secret ideas on who will get the crown. Let's investigate that answer in the final chapter of this saga. In the captivating saga of likely heirs to the $500 billion Arnault family empire, Delphine Arnault emerges as a central figure. The firstborn of Bernard Arnault in 1975 on the outskirts of Paris, Delphine's childhood unfolded partly in the diverse landscape of New York, an experience that, rich with cultural contrasts, honed her fluency not just in French, but also in the dynamic language of English, equipping her for future global ventures. Fast forward to her education, a blend of French savoir-faire and British economic acumen, thanks to EDHEC Business School and the London School of Economics. 1997 sees her donning the graduation cap, and soon thereafter she cuts her professional teeth at the legendary McKinsey Consulting in Paris, sharpening strategic prowess. Now, the year 2000 proved a pivotal moment as Delphine stepped into the family empire. Starting at John Galliano, she swiftly ascended to Dior's commercial directorship in 2001, and by 2008 she was Dior's deputy managing director, a position that witnessed a surge in leather goods and accessories under her watch. 2013 ushers in a new chapter as Delphine becomes executive vice president of Louis Vuitton. Here, she skillfully navigates the brand through luxury market shoals. Her managerial style is as smooth as the finest silk, fostering a haven for creative minds. Fast forward to 2023, and she's the CEO of Christian Dior, a role as significant as it is historic within the Arnault dynasty. Yet, despite her impressive resume, Bernard Arnault plays coy about naming a successor. Delphine, with her growing influence in LVMH and leadership finesse, remains a frontrunner in this high-stakes Game of Thrones, but you can never be sure. Now let's shift the spotlight to Antoine Arnault, born in Roubaix. His tale begins in the United States, where he, alongside Delphine, also embraces the cultural melting pot of New York. His academic pursuit takes him from HEC Montreal to INSEAD, molding a business savant. Antoine's odyssey in the professional realm starts with an internet venture, before he joins Louis Vuitton in 2002. Here, his marketing prowess comes to the fore, particularly during his tenure as head of marketing. Then 2012 marks his ascension as the captain of Berluti, steering it to fiscal heights, followed by chairing the opulent Loro Piana in 2013. His role as the head of communication and image for LVMH in 2018 reflects not just a job title, but a strategic move in bolstering LVMH's digital frontier. Speculation about him succeeding the LVMH empire runs rampant, especially as Bernard Arnault subtly alters the company's leadership age threshold. And then there's Alexandre Arnault, born in 1992, embodying the youthful vigor of LVMH's leadership. A product of Paris's elite educational institutions and the London School of Economics, Alexandre's blend of academic rigor and a laid-back demeanor mirrors the chic nonchalance of the fashion world he inhabits. Since striding into the executive vice presidency at Tiffany & Company in 2023, Alexandre has been the wind beneath the brand's wings, injecting a cocktail of technology and innovation into its veins. He's not just a suit, he's a digital maven, sculpting Group Arnault's technological footprint with the precision of a master jeweler. Then there's Frédéric, born in 1995, a young titan at the helm of Tag Heuer. With his roots entrenched in France's crème de la crème of educational institutions, Frédéric's ascent to CEO is akin to a meticulously planned moon landing, precise, ambitious, and spectacularly successful. Under his stewardship, Tag Heuer has not just ticked along, it has boomed, with some watch models becoming as coveted as a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory. Not to be overshadowed, Jean Arnault, the family's dark horse, leads with a dual master's degree in financial mathematics and mechanical engineering. At Louis Vuitton, he's not just a director, he's a maestro of watches development and marketing, weaving strategy, innovation, and new product launches into a symphony of success. Imagine you were the childless heir to a multi-billion-dollar fashion empire in your twilight years. Who would you write in your will to receive that fabulously large inheritance? Would you follow the more conventional route of passing it over to a direct family member, or perhaps take the Carnegie route and give it all away to philanthropic causes of your choosing? However, what if you, and hear us out on this one, considered a shockingly bold gesture of gratitude, such as bequeathing it to a practically anonymous person who made a profound impact on your life in an unexpected way? Indeed, in a move that can only be described as a remarkable deviation from the expected, Nicolas Puech, an 80-year-old mega-wealthy old money heir of the Hermès dynasty worth roughly $13 billion, has decided to leave many of his billions not to the usual suspects of charity organizations or distant relatives, but to his gardener. Yes, his gardener. This isn't just any gardener, and this fellow, a 51-year-old father of Moroccan descent, has clearly done more than just tend to Puech's petunias. Described affectionately as an adopted son, he has become the unlikely heir to a fortune built on luxury fashion. But the details of Puech's original succession plan are as complex as one might expect from a tycoon. You see, originally, Puech's plan was to leave his entire fortune, estimated to be worth around $13 billion, to the Isocrates Foundation, a charity of his own making, focused on supporting journalism. Indeed, a previously signed inheritance contract with the foundation stipulates that Puech's shares in Hermès, a substantial 5.7%, would go to the foundation, unless he fathers a child. However, in a dramatic twist, he's attempting to sever ties with the foundation and leave around $7 billion worth of shares to his gardener by adopting him. But before we give you the sordid details of who will get their hands on the pot of gold, the foundation, or the family man gardener who could gain generational wealth overnight, we have to start at the beginning and explain just how one heir, among hundreds, could give away $13 billion while his family members remain wealthy, as we describe. The history of the Hermès dynasty, a family so rich that $7 billion could go to their gardener. In the high-stakes world of luxury fashion, the Hermès family, or the Dumas and Puech clans, has crafted a narrative as captivating as the intricate designs of their coveted Birkin bags. Their net worth, a kaleidoscope of wealth and fashion legacy, soared by a staggering $56 billion in 2023, and its sumptuous source is their reign over the French fashion titan, Hermès. This iconic house, like a perfectly tailored suit, fit the year 2023 like a glove, with a 35% rise in share value, embellishing their fortune to an estimated $151 billion US. Indeed, such figures don't just speak, they shout in luxurious tones. At the helm of this luxury leviathan is Axel Dumas, a sixth-generation family member and a direct descendant of founder Thierry Hermès. Since assuming the role of Hermès CEO in 2014, Dumas has skillfully navigated Hermès through the competitive luxury boom of the last decade, elevating the brand to become the world's second-largest luxury company by market capitalization. And his leadership has been particularly impactful in expanding Hermès's presence in international markets, with a notable emphasis on Asia. And then there's Bertrand Puech, another family patriarch and brother of the aforementioned Nicolas Puech, who played a pivotal role in safeguarding the independence and family-led ethos of Hermès. His strategic maneuvers were crucial in thwarting the advances of Bernard Arnault, the one-time richest man in the world and founder of luxury conglomerate LVMH, who had allegedly sought to engage in a hostile takeover of Hermès. But Puech's actions were instrumental in ensuring that control of Hermès remained within the family, a move that has undoubtedly contributed to the brand's continued success and prestige. However, the Hermès family is much, much more than just a couple of multi-billionaire shrewd business operators. Indeed, this fashion mega-dynasty has a diverse and influential ensemble of over 100 members, with many continually exerting a profound influence over Hermès International. This illustrious group collectively owns more than two-thirds of the luxury goods maker, ensuring that the decisions and direction of the company are deeply entwined with the family's vision and legacy. As the Hermès family looks to the future, several members, including those from the Dumas wing of the empire, are preparing to launch a family investment structure, expected to be operational in 2024. This development indicates a strategic diversification of the family's interests and assets, further solidifying their influence and legacy in the world of luxury fashion. But how exactly does a so-called family business manage to not only survive, but thrive in the legendarily ultra-competitive luxury goods sector of the 21st century? Well, you might be surprised to learn that the secret isn't found in the classic old money playbook of changing the structure of generational trusts, the way the Rockefellers did, or placing your children at the top of each company under management, the way that Bernard Arnault has mostly done. You see, the key to the Hermès dynasty growing to unfathomable heights is in its unique business structure, which we'll investigate in the next chapter. In the bustling landscape of luxury fashion, the rise of Hermès stands out, defying the Goliaths of the industry with its unique blend of exclusivity and artisanal craftsmanship. And this French luxury brand, established in 1837 by Thierry Hermès, didn't ascend to prominence through the usual paths of mass production or ubiquitous marketing campaigns. Instead, it carved a niche through a steadfast commitment to a unique mix of exclusivity and high-quality craftsmanship. Specifically, while powerhouses like Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, and Louis Vuitton flexed their muscles with aggressive strategies, Hermès pursued a different path. For instance, LVMH Group, known for Louis Vuitton among other mega fashion brands, spent around €9.5 billion on advertising and promotion costs worldwide in 2022, while Hermès has always played a different game. Its marketing expenses are a mere fraction of its revenue, about 4%. And this decision is not born out of frugality, but a strategic choice to maintain an aura of exclusivity. Undoubtedly, this understated approach has cultivated a mystique that continues to attract a dedicated clientele, and its products, unlike those of its competitors, are not available online and are rarely seen in stores. The brand operates on an invitation-only model, where high-spending, loyal customers are offered the chance to purchase their coveted products. To even be considered for the purchase of a Hermès bag, customers must first demonstrate their loyalty through consistent purchases of other Hermès items, such as scarves, perfumes, or jewelry. And this strategy of controlled scarcity has transformed Hermès products, especially the iconic Birkin and Kelly bags, into highly sought-after treasures that often appreciate in value, a rarity in fashion accessories. Furthermore, the production process of each Hermès bag is an icon of traditional craftsmanship and meticulous skill. Each bag is handcrafted by artisans in France, with the creation of a single Birkin bag taking up to 48 hours of labor. Additionally, Hermès artisans undergo a rigorous training regime, including a 4-year apprenticeship and an 18-month mentorship, before they're allowed to craft a bag. This emphasis on artisanal craftsmanship starkly contrasts with the industry's lean towards automation and mass production. And in the secondary market, where pre-owned luxury goods are traded, Hermès bags become even more valuable. Their rarity and exclusivity often lead to an appreciation in value, with returns outstripping traditional investments like the S&P 500 or gold. This remarkable phenomenon highlights Hermès's unique position in the luxury market, transcending the typical ebb and flow of fashion trends. Even more curiously, there was no evidence available during this moment a few decades ago that this family-owned brand would someday be able to go toe-to-toe against fashion's corporate leviathans, such as the $500 billion LVMH. In fact, Hermès seemed poised to be a relatively small boutique brand for its whole history until a few financial plot twists entered the picture, starting with the birth of its first patriarch, Thierry Hermès. The multi-billion-dollar Hermès saga begins with Thierry Hermès, born in 1801 in Krefeld, Germany, under Napoleon's vast empire. This geographical and political backdrop granted Thierry French citizenship, a twist of fate for a child born to a French father and a German mother, a blend of cultures that undoubtedly influenced the young Hermès, shaping his future endeavors. Now, Krefeld, often lauded as the city of velvet and silk, offered a rich cultural milieu for young Thierry. And Thierry was the youngest sibling in a family of 6, raised in the warm embrace of innkeepers. However, his childhood narrative was marred by loss, as disease and war claimed his family, tragically rendering him an orphan. Seeking new horizons, Thierry migrated to Paris in 1821, as always a city buzzing with innovation and opportunity. After several years, the family resettled in Pont-Audemer, where Thierry honed his leatherworking skills, a craft that would later become his hallmark. By 1837, the seeds of the Hermès brand were sown in the Grand Boulevard quarter of Paris, where Thierry established a harness workshop. And Hermès's workshop quickly earned a reputation for impeccable quality, specializing in harnesses and bridles for Europe's carriage trade. Thierry's artistry was not just in creating functional items, but in elevating them to objects of beauty, and his harnesses became a fixture in Paris's Expositions Universelles, speaking to his unmatched skill. Consequently, the evolution of Hermès under Thierry's watchful eye was remarkable. He shifted from harnesses to crafting exquisite saddles, capturing the hearts of the equestrian elite. For example, the Haute Courroie bag, designed for saddles and riding boots, marked the brand's foray into luxury accessories. And Thierry's personal life was equally rich, marked by his marriage to Christine Petronille Pierrat and the birth of his son, Charles-Émile. Upon Thierry's passing in 1878, the helm of Hermès passed to Charles-Émile, and later to his sons Adolphe and Émile Maurice. Thereafter, the family relocated the shop to 24 Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré, embedding the Hermès legacy in the heart of Paris, where it proudly stands today. However, the new storefront was just the beginning of the future multi-billion-dollar family enterprise, and patriarch Thierry could have never seen what would happen next, as his descendants took the reins, or, should we say, grabbed the tote handles. In the dynamic heart of 19th century Paris, Charles-Émile Hermès emerged as a visionary leader in the luxury goods industry. See, in 1880, Charles-Émile, endowed with his father's entrepreneurial spirit, took the helm of the Hermès store, steering it through a transformative era in Paris, marked by the dramatic urban overhaul spearheaded by Baron Haussmann. And this period of upheaval, far from destabilizing the Hermès enterprise, presented an auspicious opportunity. With the demolition of its original store looming, a serendipitous eviction payment enabled Charles-Émile to relocate to a grander premise on the prestigious Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré, an address that Hermès proudly maintains to this day as its global headquarters. This strategic move in 1880 and the store's grand opening in 1889 positioned Hermès not merely as a purveyor of luxury goods, but as a symbol of Parisian shopping elegance. Therefore, Charles-Émile's foresight in diversifying Hermès's offerings proved pivotal. The brand, initially rooted in saddlery and harness making under Thierry's guidance, began embracing an array of products including riding equipment, horse blankets, and silk racing jackets. This expansion not only enriched the brand's portfolio, but also cemented its status as a luxury icon. And beyond the realm of equestrian gear, the brand delved into crafting exquisite leather goods, luggage, and handbags, responding adroitly to the evolving demands of European nobility. This diversification was instrumental in Hermès's metamorphosis from a specialized saddlery to a multifaceted luxury goods behemoth. Now, Charles-Émile Hermès's tenure concluded with his demise in 1916, paving the way for his sons Adolphe and Émile Maurice Hermès to take control. Then, the renaming of the company to Hermès Frères, or the Hermès Brothers, signaled a new chapter, and one where the brand adeptly navigated the shifting tides of society's preferences. And it was Émile Maurice, in particular, whose ingenious leadership propelled Hermès into uncharted territories. His securing of exclusive rights to use the zipper in France was not only a technological triumph, but also a cultural milestone, with the zipper affectionately dubbed Fermeture Hermès locally. Then, Émile Maurice's ingenuity shone brightest when, responding to his wife's difficulty in finding a suitable handbag, he personally designed Hermès's inaugural handbag collection in 1922. This personal touch underscored his commitment to quality and innovation, qualities that have become synonymous with the Hermès brand. Hermès's workforce had burgeoned to 80 skilled saddle craftsmen, a symbol of its unwavering dedication to craftsmanship and luxury. In fact, the brand's prestige soared to royal heights, furnishing none other than the Tsar of Russia with saddles. Then, the Roaring Twenties witnessed Émile Maurice further broadening Hermès's horizons, introducing accessories and clothing collections. He astutely prepared for the brand's longevity by integrating his sons-in-law, Robert Dumas, Jean-René Guérin, and Francis Puech, into the business, thereby ensuring that the Hermès legacy would continue to flourish under familial stewardship. After Émile Maurice's passing in 1951, his son-in-law, Robert Dumas, assumed leadership, marking a new era of innovation and success for Hermès. Dumas' tenure was distinguished by several landmark achievements, notably the introduction of the iconic Hermès silk scarf in 1937, which further solidified the brand's reputation in the world of luxury fashion. Indeed, this period was transformative for Hermès, transitioning from its roots as an equestrian accessory specialist to a purveyor of a wider range of luxury goods. Thus, the guidance of Adolphe and especially Émile Maurice during these times was critical. Their foresight and adaptability laid the groundwork for Hermès's ascension to the upper echelons of global high fashion and luxury, a status that the brand continues to enjoy and build upon in the modern era. However, in an unexpected turn of events for an old money dynasty like the Hermès Empire, it would really be the in-laws who would turn the family business into a global fashion hegemon in the coming decades, and lead to the succession crisis we discussed in the beginning of this video. On the 10th of November 1898, Robert Dumas Hermès, not born into the Hermès lineage by blood, but through the marriage of the daughter of Émile Maurice Hermès, was born. However, this matrimonial alliance was not just a union of hearts, but of names, as Robert Dumas adopted the Hermès surname, symbolizing a fusion of families and fortunes. And in these early years of the 20th century, the world was on the cusp of an industrial revolution. Automobiles were starting to replace horse-drawn carriages, signaling a paradigm shift, and this change was mirrored in the evolution of the Hermès company, known initially for its exquisite harnesses and saddles, which began to expand into the realm of luxury goods. Robert Dumas Hermès, under the guidance of his father-in-law, Émile Maurice Hermès, started to steer the company in this new direction. Parallel to Robert's story was that of Jean-René Guérin, Robert's brother-in-law, born in August 1907. Like Robert, Jean-René married into the Hermès family and joined the Hermès company in 1926, and his tenure lasted a remarkable 64 years, during which he played a crucial role in establishing Hermès's global footprint, launching the company's worldwide export division. Together, Robert Dumas Hermès and Jean-René Guérin were at the helm during a pivotal era, and they navigated the brand through a world transformed by technological and cultural shifts, laying the groundwork for Hermès's transition into a purveyor of luxury. For example, in the 1950s, the company introduced its iconic Duke carriage with horse logo and the now famous orange paper boxes. However, it was in 1956 when a Life magazine feature catapulted the brand to new heights. The magazine captured Grace Kelly, the globally famous actress and newly minted Princess of Monaco, using a Hermès bag to discreetly cover her pregnancy. This bag, originally named Sac à Dépêche, was soon rechristened the Kelly bag after the princess, marking its ascent into the annals of fashion history. And in 1961, Hermès ventured into the fragrance industry, launching its subsidiary alongside the debut of the Caléchet scent. This name, a nod to a hooded four-wheeled horse carriage and a reflection of the company's logo, intertwined Hermès's heritage with its modern aspirations. Soon the family added Jean-Louis Robert Frédéric Dumas, born on the 2nd of February 1938 in Paris, as the son of Robert Dumas and a descendant of Émile Maurice Hermès, to the fold. Educated at the prestigious Institut d'études politiques de Paris and the Lycée Janson de Sailly, Jean-Louis' upbringing was not confined to the classrooms of France. His adventurous spirit led him on journeys across Iran, Afghanistan, Nepal, Scandinavia, and Czechoslovakia. Then, in New York, 1963, Jean-Louis Dumas, fresh from his military duties in Algeria, embarked on an adventure across the Atlantic. He landed a position in the buyer training program at Bloomingdale's, a name that resonates with the allure of high fashion and refined taste. And this period in New York was not just a mere stint. It was a crucible that forged Dumas' understanding of what it means to be a merchant, a vital insight that would later shape his approach to the luxury goods sector. But the year 1964 marked the true turning point in Dumas' professional life, as he joined the ranks of Hermès. Stepping into the company under the leadership of his father, Robert Dumas, Jean-Louis was poised to leave an indelible mark on the brand, assuming leadership of the company in 1978. However, before he could truly take the family name and business to new heights, he'd have to steer the brand through its most stagnant and difficult period in the business's history. In 1978, Jean-Louis Dumas, heir to the Hermès legacy, assumed leadership of the company, which, despite its illustrious past, was experiencing stagnation. But Dumas was poised for the challenge, and his tenure soon signaled a rejuvenation for Hermès. For example, Dumas injected a dose of modernity, introducing fresh talent, notably Éric Berger and Bernard Sanz, who reinvigorated the clothing division with new luxury lines. Thus, the 1980s and 90s under Dumas heralded unprecedented growth and creativity for Hermès. The iconic Birkin bag, born from an unexpected meeting between Dumas and actress Jane Birkin in 1984, became a symbol of luxury and a fashion staple. This period also saw Hermès diversify into ready-to-wear for men and home furnishings, widening its appeal and market reach. By 2006, this strategic expansion had borne fruit. Hermès's revenue climbed to $1.9 billion. Therefore, Dumas had not only revitalized the brand, but also redefined luxury on a global scale. His commitment to quality, craftsmanship, and innovation reshaped Hermès, balancing its rich history with contemporary demands. After 28 years, Dumas retired in January 2006. However, in the world of luxury fashion, few sagas rival the drama of LVMH's oncoming pursuit of Hermès, a storyline replete with corporate strategy and family legacy. You see, the stage was initially set in 2001, prior to Jean-Louis' death, when LVMH, led by the Machiavellian Bernard Arnault, discreetly acquired a 4.9% stake in Hermès. This move, subtle yet strategic, marked the commencement of a high-stakes game in the luxury sector. Fast forward to 2010, and Patrick Thomas, the first non-family CEO, had to grapple with LVMH having stealthily grown that almost 5% stake into 15%. Indeed, this accumulation was not just about numbers, it was about influence and potential control. In response, Hermès, understanding the gravity of the situation, fortified its defenses in December 2010. A private holding company, owning 50.2% of Hermès shares, emerged as a bastion against LVMH's advances, and amid this corporate tussle, legal battles ensued. Hermès, in a bold move, filed a criminal complaint against LVMH, accusing it of insider trading and manipulation. Certainly this wasn't just a legal maneuver. It was a statement of the family's resistance against a perceived financial invasion of the Hermès dynasty's legacy. 2014 saw the denouement of this high-fashion drama, with LVMH, in a surprising yet strategic retreat, agreed to distribute its by then 23.2% stake in Hermès to its shareholders, finally gracing the brand with an acknowledgement of the resilience of a family-controlled luxury empire. Enter Axel Dumas, born into the Hermès Dumas lineage, a custodian of a rich heritage. Joining Hermès in 2003, Dumas navigated through various roles, from auditor to retail director, before ascending to the throne of CEO in 2014. And his ascent wasn't just a career progression, it was a continuation of a familial saga. Under Dumas's stewardship, Hermès thrived, with sales skyrocketing and share price soaring, a testament to his commitment to heritage and independence. Therefore, Dumas' leadership was more than a managerial success. It was a celebration of the unique identity of Hermès. And thus we begin where we started, with one of the more than 100 heirs to the Hermès dynasty, perhaps sending off billions to his gardener, of all people. However, no matter what Nicolas Puech decides to do, after hearing this wild family chronicle, it's clear that the Hermès will survive and continue on undeterred.